the most tortured of Bobby's grandchildren. Boy, did she get it from the boys, but she knew how to give it too. Representing the girls in our family, Tammy.
Okay, first I have to preface with, I'm a very shy person. So standing up here and talking is very difficult for me to do, as you all know. Okay. You really want me to talk in the microphone? I'm not loud enough? Yeah. Okay. Now first I want to thank Uncle Jeffrey, because I asked last week, of course last minute, my mother if I could speak, to which I was very flatly turned down. And Uncle Jeffrey so nicely texted me Thursday night that I can speak. Well, I was going to speak anyway, but it was nice for you to give me the permission. Exactly, so I do what I want anyway. This is not like, you know. Okay, as we know, I did not make a speech. I have a list of things. Uncle Jeffrey told me 5 minutes. There's no way I'm talking for 5 minutes, so I'm coming. Now, Bobby, how are you feeling? Fine, thank you. Fine, thank you. Are you going to pause for that? Okay, this is the basis of every conversation I've had with Bobby my entire life. No matter what is going on. Hi, Bobby, how are you? Fine, thank you. Never once did I hear Kvetch or complaint. 100 years, I've known her for all of my 21 years, and I have never heard a complaint from her. Okay. Now, some of what I'm saying, I'm reiterating what my brother Maishi said, so I'm sorry if I bore you. My earliest memory of Bobby is with Zaidi. As Maishi said, I have always seen I have always seen Derech Eretz between Bobby and Zaidi. My earliest memory. I remember as a little girl, Zaidi always talking to you with Derech Eretz in his soft-spoken voice. And always lovingly. And the same goes back. I've never once heard you Kvetch or complain about Zaidi, not while he was alive, of course not after he passed. Which in and of itself is a beautiful, beautiful thing, as everybody knows. I've never heard Bobby complain about anything in her life. When most people talk about the Holocaust, they talk about all the terrorists that they went through. I haven't heard any and I know Auschwitz was not pleasant for you. What do we hear about Bobby's story in the war? How she had so much fun tinkering with the sewing machines, breaking them so the Nazi repairmen couldn't do it. And this is all we hear about. She doesn't talk about the work, the starvation, nothing bad. All she looked at was the good in the Holocaust. Just this week I brought my kids on her birthday to see her on her Hebrew birthday. And Bobby told me a story that I had never heard before. Again, another funny story from the Holocaust. She was forced with a bunch of other ladies to dig a deep ditch from the Nazis. She had to dig a deep ditch. And what did Bobby do? Because they were taking too much time emptying out the dirt, that she decided to write her name so neatly on the inside of the wall that she was digging. Because she was bored and, you know, she might as well do it all just like the rest of us do. So she wrote her name so beautifully with your address, your telephone number, also they didn't just use your address. And then afterwards, it got word back that somebody wrote down her name, serial number, or whatever it was. And later on, she was called into the Nazis' office, and Bobby was obviously cittering because she was not standing like a soldier. She was doing something out of line. She was writing on a wall of a ditch, which they could have just as easily buried her in. Nobody thought of that, but... And what did this woman do? She was so impressed with Bobby's penmanship and her determination that she's not going to forget her Yiddish name and she's not going to forget her address, that she gave her a loaf of bread. I still am waiting for those horrible stories from Auschwitz from you. I've never heard one.
Oh, she told them to me.
Okay, well, for us, she's saved. I can also remember as a child us squishing into Bobby and Zaidi's apartment, a 2-bedroom apartment with me and my 3 brothers, and Uncle Jeffrey and his family. Nobody complained, and we were all cramped. You guys remember those Shabbosim? Anybody remember? Nobody remember those Shabbos? I remember those Shabbos.
A little bit.
And nobody complained. What? 2 brothers. I said my brother.
Said 3.
I remember a woman standing in a kitchen that was literally the size of this table, cooking and preparing and cooking on her feet, with her back hurting, I'm sure, and not complaining, and with the biggest smile on her face. And when we would ask her, what were those numbers on her arm, what would Bobby say, Yossi?
Telephone number.
What would she say?
Telephone number.
She would tell us it was a telephone number.
I know it.
Why? Because she wanted to shelter us.
Told me.
And when Yossi very smartly said, why do you need a telephone number on your arm? Her answer was, because I'm not smart enough and I
Not
forget it.
smart enough.
I forget my telephone number needs to be written on my arm. Who thinks of that just so that we shouldn't know from the service you went through? Okay, I'm not done.
No.
Next. As most of us remember, Aunt Esther and Uncle Dave. Aunt Esther, who my Esty was named after, was Bobby's closest sister. Now, as you all remember, Aunt Esther could not have any children of her own. So, our grandmother very lovingly let her help raise Uncle Jeffrey and my mother, Adele, to the point that my mother really liked Aunt Esther better, and Bobby didn't care. Bobby tells stories of how she would prepare cholent. I've heard this story 100 times. She would prepare cholent for Shabbos, and my mother refused to eat it because my grandmother's cooking wasn't good enough for her. So my grandmother would send it over to Aunt Esther's house. Aunt Esther would serve it to my mother. And my mother would come home and say, why can't you make cholent like Aunt Esther? It's so much better. And rather than my Bobby saying, you're eating my food, she said, you're right, my sister's a better cook than me. Who does that? Who does that? So giving, so loving, so forgiving of everybody and everyone around. As most of you know, when Aunt Esther was nifter up, we had Uncle Dave left. Uncle Dave is my grandmother's brother-in-law. No blood. Just her sister's husband. He had no family. Who took care of him after he was nifter? After Aunt Esther was nifter? Bobby, who used to schlep on the bus and with her oldness go to visit him in his apartment and shop and even cook for him, her brother-in-law. My 2 brothers, blood, that happens to them, it is not me. Not helping you guys, not happening. But this is what she did for her brother-in-law. With a smile on her face. With a smile on your face, always. What? Smile doesn't cost money. Okay.
If it cost money, I would spend it.
Okay, next generation. A big indication of how, I'm sorry, am I really running too late? Yes. Sorry, I'm like 75% up, okay?
I didn't say anything.
Okay. Next generation, Bobby. The way you can see how a person is the way their children turn out. I look at your children, I look at mommy. All you have to do is say is that she hasn't been institutionalized after raising my brothers and myself. That's enough. That can tell you enough. She is giving. I know that in the last 2 years of my life, I have needed a lot. And she has given always with a smile on her face, just like you. I look at Uncle Jeffrey, who is a role model. He took on 2 boys who were not his own, which personally I can understand as people think. And you look at the way his boys are, the way he raised them, and the way my parents raised us, is all a testament to you, the source. Always giving. Now there's something else. There's a meter that Bobby has that I really have never seen in anybody. The element of bargaining. Not an ounce of jealousy in this woman's body. I remember a bunch of years ago, I was sitting around the kitchen table with Bobby. She was by my parents for Shabbos. I think I had some girlfriends over. And we were, doing our regular Lashon Hara gossip about whoever we were talking about. And my grandmother was just dumbfounded at what we were saying. And I was like, Bobby, doesn't it bother you that XYZ, because I was really fired up. And she looks at me with such simplicity and says, Tammy, how does it affect me? I shouldn't forgive this person. How does it affect me if someone has this that's better than me? I'm happy I'm happy, and if you talk to Bobby, like I said, how are you, Bobby, feeling? How you feeling? Beautiful. Never a complaint. Always happy with what she has. I've never heard her complain, and she did not have it easy. She worked in the grocery. She came up. She cooked. She took care of everybody. Never a complaint. About, I think Rifki was just born to me. I was just pregnant with her. Maybe 3 years ago, was it, when Bobby split her arm? Was it 3 years ago? 3 years ago. Bobby split her arm. I don't know if all of you know that. She fell so badly that I remember getting chills when I heard that the bone actually like did one of those really bad kind of breaks. And I called up Bobby. She was in the hospital. She was having surgery. This is the only time in my entire life I heard a kvetch and complain. And I called up Bobby and I said, Bobby, the same way I always start my question, how you feeling? Now, what would any human being say? Because I know what I say when I stub my toe and when I cut a fingernail. I kvetch, I complain, I cry, I curse the world. Bobby, how are you feeling? What could she have said? I am in so much pain. They're giving me needles. They're putting pins in my arms. The arm was broken. And what did Bobby say? Tamala? Not so good. That's the most negative she could possibly kvetch and complain. Not so good. She couldn't even say I'm feeling bad. She couldn't even say I'm in pain. Just not so good. I think, okay, I'm not so good at bringing things from Tanakh, but I think I remember hearing about that in Tanakh, there's never a bad word said. It's always just something wasn't good. And that's the epitome of Bobby. Never complaining, never fetching. Something is always good. Does everybody know that Bobby's vision is not so good now? Does anybody know that? Nobody knows that. If my vision wouldn't be good, I would be crying and spitting all day. I need to see. Do you know that Bobby's nurse was an idiot and she forgot to put her eye drops in her eyes a few months ago? And because of it, Bobby's eyes are permanently damaged? Have you ever heard her complain about it? Anybody here? Why not? Okay, I'm finishing up. Okay. This is how I'm finishing up, Bobby. You have taught me so much in life. Every time I talk to you, your first words are, I'm good, I'm fine, and I won. Hitler lost. This is your nachas. This is your nachas, and you are 100% right. I wish I could be a person like you who never complains. I wish I strive to be like you to have the koyach, to never complain and never kvetch. And there's a reason that you're around for 100 years. Because we are not done learning from you. We are not done learning from you. I'm sorry.